ha. You ready?
Me. Yes, I'm good.
All right. I'm just going to play the intro right away. Okay.
Yep.
Dude. Here we are. Another great edition of Dudes with Brews on the Porch, and we are doing a Tunes and Brews episode today. My name is Drew. With me, as always, is Robert, and we are going to dissect hand-picked albums that we picked, that we love, that we enjoy. We listen to one another's, and we're going to... One person's going to say how much they love them, and the other person might not love them. We'll see. It all depends on which one it goes, but... Let's do what we do here. We drink beer, we talk about things. I am drinking. There's a party at Rob's place going on, and he's taking the time away from the party to talk to us. So we commend him. I'm drinking Brewery Vivant Hop Field from Grand Rapids, Michigan. This is their farmhouse IPA. So this was the brewery that was formerly a funeral home and crematorium. Now it's a brewery. And it's their flagship farmhouse IPA that features selected and native to Michigan copper, Mackinac, and heritage hops, along with Michigan-grown Centennial to give juicy flavors reminiscent of pineapple, tangerine, and pear. Our vision of as a farmhouse brewery is to brew with the bounty around us, like the unmalted wheat and hop fields grain bill. And to support local growers. So look for a mild, toasty bread note with the wheat and a spark of citrus from their farmhouse yeast. We leave this beer rustic and unfiltered, as tradition calls. You got to pour this beer into a tall Beecher pint glass with a proper head to maximize the aroma and hop enjoyment. Pair with a tangy goat cheese or an aged Gouda, venison tacos, spring veggie risotto, or softball rec league. 1% of their sales benefit local charities. It is 7% ABV. No information on the IBUs. Goddamn.
Once again.
A lot of information.
I am drinking... It looks good. I like the color of that.
Mm-hmm.
I am drinking the Moon Magic IPA from Common Space Brewing Company.
Yeah.
It's an India Pale Ale. That's what it says. With Chinook and CGX Chinook hops. Rare pale white wheat malt, flaked oats, and Wireman Carahel grain.
Yeah.
And it says, when the moons align, this magic beer brewed by Common Space becomes even more potent, infusing you with an otherworldly energy. We celebrate this phenomenon with a cheers honoring the power of the moons and the magic of the beer.
Awesome.
Each time you drink it, we hope you feel spirits lifted and hearts filled with joy. It says that was written by ChatGPT. That means something, yes?
Yes. Was it really?
It's quoted to ChatGPT.
Oh, that's
that
AI.
Is the world we live in.
That's AI. There you go. Okay. Well, it's Tunes and Brews, Rob. Well, first of all, I'll say you definitely do get the kind of tangerine citrus feel to it with this beer. It smells great. It looks great. It's got that bitterness that you love. But gosh darn it, it is tasty. I enjoyed this one. Yep.
I'm not gonna lie. So this one smells really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a really fresh scent to it, but it doesn't. It's not like crisp. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what an India Pale Ale should taste like, but I feel like normally I like them. This one, it's not. On the first sip, it's a little bit musky.
Yeah.
I guess would be the word I would use,
All right.
and it probably has something to do with whatever the hops are that they use. I might not like the Chinook hops as much, which is okay. Still, if I'm going to drink more of it, and it might grow on me.
There you go. All right. Well, it's Tunes and Brews, Rob. We both picked out an album to listen to, and we're going to dissect the albums that we picked. Would you like to go first, or would you like to go second?
Second.
Second. Okay, so you want to go second.
Yeah. I have no reasoning behind it. That's just what I chose.
No problem. So the album I picked is an album that I have listened to many times in my life. It's an album that one of maybe the first like real introductory to what would lead me down the road of love of punk rock and a love for specific musicians. This album came out in 2005. It is from a band from Chicago, Illinois. It is Alkaline Trio's Crimson. So it is 13 songs, 42 minutes, 54 seconds. It came out on Vagrant Records back in the day. So Alkaline Trio had a run of albums from Here to Infirmary, Good Morning, and Crimson were on Vagrant Records. I don't know if Agony and Irony was. That one came out on Sony. So this is their 5th studio album, and it is one that I love very much. So this is the first time I'll ever hear Alkaline Trio in my life. I was watching, I'm pretty sure it was a show on Fuse Television, which used to be like a rock kind of MTV type thing, only it focused on kind of the punk scene and the rock scene. I believe I watched it on a show called Steven's Untitled Rock Show, and it was the first video I ever saw from Alkaline Trio, and it was the A side, or the number one track song, was Time to Waste. So what I love about this, Rob, is like I think about the imagery, the kind of the feel of the album. I would say the feel of the music, I think, kind of matches that of the album work. You know what I mean? Like I associate various like grays and blacks with the album, kind of to the sound of it. Crimson, it's a color and all that. But okay, so it kicks off with that first Alkaline Trio song that I hear, that I registered. This is a band called Alkaline Trio, Time to Waste. It opens up with that smooth piano, and it's cool. And then it all of a sudden kicks in with the fucking punk rock that I love very, very much. It's a good song. And it got me into exploring this a little further. I actually believe the first time I illegally downloaded this song was at your house, Robert, your family home, back in the day when I slept.
Yeah,
over.
You did it on our computer. I remember when the FBI came for that.
Yes, absolutely.
You were nowhere to be found.
And this was the song. This was a song that I downloaded, and I just love it. It's such a good opening track. It sets the mood for the album, and I'm really into it. And then so there's two singers with Alkaline Trio. There's Matt Skiba, who is near and dear to my heart. He has many different side projects outside of Alkaline Trio. He's been in a band called Matt Skiba and the Secrets. He's been in The Hell. He's been in Heavens. He has a new band called Electron that's coming out, and he was also in Blink-182 for 2 of their albums. When Tom left again, he stepped in, and they actually made some really good music with Matt Skiba. I love him very much. So that's who you hear on that opening track. You hear, what turns into be a familiar sound when you go back, because remember, this was the first album I heard by them. So I didn't know what Matt Skiba sounded like. I didn't know his sound or kind of the elements that he kind of writes about. I learned it all with this album, and then eventually went back through their catalog, loved it, went further into the catalog, and still continue to love it. I've seen Alkaline Trio 11 times. I've seen Matt Skiba on The Secret once. I've seen Matt Skiba do acoustic shows twice. So you could say I'm a fan. You could say I really enjoy them, and this is one of my favorite albums by
I don't know. I don't know if I could say that.
Yeah. So Time to Waste is such a good song. It's just it's just got that
Really good opening. It's a really good opening track
yeah, absolutely. And you need that.
to an album. I love the opening to that song, and then it really does kick into high gear like on a moment's notice.
Yeah, and that's really what I look for in an opening track. Something that grabs your attention. Doesn't necessarily have to be loud. Doesn't necessarily have to be fast or anything. But it's got to stick out in a way that's going to keep you in. And this song, sure as shit, does it. And then, you know, the song just like it ends. You hear the end of it. This hell is my home, and then you hear a couple bars of music. It goes out, and then it kicks into the Poison, which is sang by their other singer, bass player Dan Andriano, who of course has been a part of a million other different bands too. Slapstick, Tuesday, Dan Andriano and the Emergency Room, Dan Andriano and the Bygones. He's been in a lot of stuff, and he's a great musician. Plays bass in the Falcon, which is a really good band too. So you kind of hear their dynamic vocals, if you will. So Dan sings a little deeper, I guess you could say, a little bit, where Skiba sings a little bit higher pitched, but I think they mesh really well. And you can kind of see, like, the songs that Skiba sings 99% of the time are the ones that he writes. The ones that Dan sings are the ones that he writes. So you can kind of like start to see their themes a little bit and really, really get into it. And then it goes into my favorite song on the record, which is Burn, which has like, again, it sounds different than the other two songs. And it has it gets to a point where you hear some like really cool like melodic harmonies and stuff like that. It starts, medium pace a little bit, chorus kicks up a little bit, and then you're going on this ride, and then it's just such a good fucking song. I've only seen Alkaline Trio play that song one time, and that was at Warped Tour in like 2006 or maybe 2007, something like that. And then it kicks into the song that I thought you would know the most, which is Mercy Me. So Time to Waste, they made a video for that, but then they made a video for Mercy Me, and that's one of their more popular songs. That one, they share the roles. It kicks it from Skiba to Dan, and it blends really well. Again, sounding a lot different, and that's what I like about this album is the sounds, they mesh well together, but at the same time, you're not listening to the same song for 43 minutes. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Kind of like that. Like for me, as somebody that like for whatever reason, like the it seems like there's the same like speed pitch throughout for a lot of them. Like so,
Sure.
If you're somebody that's not a huge fan of music, like of a genre of music, I feel like I've had this conversation where it's like it's easy for me. Like I kind of feel like they fall into the same thing. But that's because I haven't listened to it enough to hear the differences, I guess. Because people say the same thing about the music that I listen to. When they don't listen to it, is it all sounds the same or whatever. So I'm not trying to downplay that. I honestly will say this is the point in the album where I went back and listened to a second time from the track after this, which is Deathbed, I believe.
Yep.
I really liked that. There's like a 3 or 4 song run from Deathbed, Settle for Satan, Sadie, and Fall Victim. I did really enjoy those songs, and I enjoy the dual singers and the way that they mesh their vocals and the differences in their vocal pitches into each other. It reminds me of a band I really like from that time period as well. This is, in terms of music that you've showed me, this is one of my more it's up there higher than most of them.
Yeah, Sadie was a song that they had previously released on like an EP, and it's actually a song, and you'll kind of see that with songs that Matt Skiba writes. Matt Skiba writes a lot of songs about dealing with death, dealing with just kind of like you could say morbid things a little bit, but he really is keen on playing on words, playing on phrases. Like if you look at a lot of the titles of the albums, so From Here to Infirmary, From Here to Eternity, famous Clash album. They have an album called Good Morning, spelled like Mourning. They have Agony in Irony, which is like Ebony and Ivory. That's a famous record or famous album. And then they have My Shame is True, or My Name. What is it? My Shame is True instead of My Name is True. And they kind of do that stuff a lot. So he definitely plays on a lot of words, which, I mean, you see that's present in all of his lyrics. I think he's a really good songwriter. And Sadie is actually about one of the Manson girls. So there's that time where the girl's talking. I'm pretty sure that's from her court case. So she was.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. So that's kind of what that song is. A good song though. I do love it. But that would have been one that if you picked up the album knowing who the band was, you would have been like treated with a familiar song because it was one that they re-recorded but had previously released on like an EP. Fall Victim's a really good one. My next favorite song on this record is Back to Hell, where this is a punk song. You know what I mean? Like it just you got the count in on the cymbals, on the hi-hats, the 1 2 3 4, and then it just kicks it. And I really like that song quite a bit. Again, I don't think you really hear a song like that on the record. I think it stands out. It's unique, and maybe it might seem a little bit similar to some of them, but to me, I think it's one that really pops out quite a bit. And I just like the words. And then, the song before that, Prevent This Tragedy, has like this, it has like this orchestra accompany with it. So, you start with like
I like that one.
Yeah, I like that one a lot too. And that's what I like too, is like they don't play on like the standard, like, it's 4 chords where we're doing the Ramones, da 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 thing or whatever that so many punk bands do. They're really exploring their musical abilities, and they're also incorporating with the pianos with the orchestra, and I think it helps set the mood for the record in a really perfect way. And then after Back to Hell, the songs slow down a little bit, I would say. And then you end with the song Smoke, and it's just I guess I don't know enough words to say it eloquently like you do. Like, you're really good at talking about music. I don't think I just say, yeah, it's good. But this really brings me back to a time where I found out who I was in the musical world. I found my scene. Before this, it was Blink-182, which I still love, and oddly enough, Matt Skiba went to for a little bit, and then it was this pop punk stuff, which I still like, but it introduced me to a whole different world. It really showed me like, hey, I can go see this band, sing along, have a really good time, feel youthful, it's cool to stand there in the crowd and sing every fucking song. And, this was like my really, after Blink-182, this was like the first band I became obsessed with as a kid. And then as I was digging into their catalog, I hear this song called Armageddon, which I'm like, holy shit, I know this song. And of course, you link it back to one of the greatest soundtracks of all time, is the Tony Hawk Pro Skater soundtracks. So I thought that was kind of cool to really dive into my youth of like being like 6 or 7 years old, singing these songs while I'm playing these games, and not even knowing like in the future, like, you're going to fucking love this band. You're going to really have a good time. I've gotten the opportunity to meet Matt Skiba, and he was a really nice guy. He gave me a hug. It was a good moment. But you know what I mean? Like, this brings me back to that. And it's been a while. I go to shows every once in a while. And a lot of times now, I'm 32. I go to the shows, and I'm like, by the time that opener's done, I was like, shit, I'm ready to go home. I'm an old man. I'm ready to wrap up before I even see the band that I want to see. But they come back on, and I have a good time. I do enjoy it. But it's been so long since I've been able to like deep dive into a band that I just recently discovered and like fall in love with it. It's a beautiful thing to fall in love with music, with a new band, with a new sound, and get introduced into this world that you didn't really know existed. Like, for a long time when I was a kid, I was 14 or 15 in 2005. So it's like, you're kind of figuring out who you are as a person. You're saying, what kind of person am I? What kind of people do I like? And then it's like, you like this music. And I think too, what makes this band so special is that not many of my friends like Alkaline Trio, or not many of my friends listen to them. But Josh, who you know, former co-host for 8 episodes, also like we kind of like fell in love with Alkaline Trio together, and we went to all this. I think there's only been one time that I've seen Alkaline Trio without Josh. Other than that, same with him. He went to a different show without me, so we're even. But that's the band that we've been connected to. And anytime Skiba comes out with something, or Dan Andriano comes up with something, or even Derek Grant, their drummer, he does stuff every once in a while. I can always reach out to him and be excited about it. It's like I like being able to talk to people and be excited about the music and not be called snob because I don't listen to the same shit that they listen to. It's somebody that likes the stuff I like. I haven't found that in a long time. I haven't found a band. I do introduce people to bands every once in a while. One of the cool things about being a teacher, like, you see a kid with like a NoFX t-shirt and you'd be like, oh yeah, I've seen them, or talk to them. You don't get that too often now. So every once in a while I'll sneak a band in with a student who they like the rock bands, they like the punk stuff. I was like, hey, you should listen to this band. Check them out and let me know. And a couple times they've been like, yeah, great suggestion. They're awesome. So I've been able to trace that a little bit, but Alkaline Trio is really where it all started. My love for punk rock started with them, and they're not necessarily like your standard punk band, like I said before, but this album has really brought me into a whole new world. Rob, your thoughts?
Okay. No, it's, I mean, I didn't think of it as punk while I was listening to it. I don't know what punk is. I don't know what genres mean. Now there's all these different ones, and
yeah,
it's
they would identify as a punk band, but yeah, what is punk anymore? I don't know.
I'm not saying I'm right about anything like that. I'm just saying most times the punk music from that era doesn't. It would have been a drag for me to listen to that album. But this album, I listened to most of it twice. I listened to it full through once, and then started back on, I believe, Deathbed, and listened to the second half of it a second time, and actually let it bleed over into a different album. So I mean, it's because they're doing stuff with orchestral music, with piano, with vocal layering, and things like that. I really enjoyed that because that's like I said, another band that I really like from that time period was doing similar things. They fell into the screamo category as opposed to punk category. Once again, I don't know what any of this means. Music is music. It's either hits you or it doesn't.
What band was that?
This what's that?
What band does it remind you of?
Monine. I mean, they don't remind me of each other, but just the way that they do their vocals, where they switch back and forth and they kind of fade in from Skiba's vocals to the other guy's vocals. At the it's like they play with their vocals similarly to how Monine did on at least the Theory of Harmonial Value, which is the album I was going to switch to. Ironically enough, we both picked albums from 2005 without even knowing that we were doing so. Because I believe that's right about the time that album came out, that Monine album, and the album that I actually picked came out in 2005 as well. It was a big year for us because that's the same, big effects in different ways. But yeah, this album was like, there's a lot to it. There's a lot going on with what they're doing, and I did like the way that he puts his lyrics together. Once again, I have an issue with some of that high pitched vocally stuff. Not so much with this band as I have with other bands from that era, but I was like, this was an enjoyable album, even for somebody who doesn't listen to music like that. And I was like, this is something I'll put on my list for when I want to like go skating or go shoot hoops or something, and put my headset in and go down that rabbit hole again. That's I think it's good for that, for real. Like it's very enjoyable. It's up, like, I don't know, it lifts you up kind of, but it's also got like heavy lyrics.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I mean, I encourage you to listen to their,
Some of the lyrics are, it's like they go
for
down,
sure.
they
Yeah. You should
there's
really
definitely
listen to
themes
their other
throughout.
stuff.
If I listened to it another time and maybe took notes, but he's got themes on things go like there's reoccurring lyrics throughout the album that
Mm-hmm.
come back around on themselves in different songs. They built the album. They didn't just build it song by song. They built an album.
Yeah. And they do that quite a bit. Uh, yeah. Like, I think you would like their last album, Is This Thing Cursed? That's a really good one, too. That came out a couple of years ago. But yeah, it's a good song. It's good stuff. I love it.
And I will say, just based on what you were talking about showing your students and stuff, a few of my favorite bands came from one of my teachers because
Yeah.
me and him, he noticed I was reading a book that he was reading outside of class, and that got us to start talking about
Was
music,
that
and,
was
and
that
he
House of
and he
Leaves?
introduced me to yes, but he introduced me to bands like Wilco and Supergrass and the Shins, um,
Oddly enough,
which are still
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
oh, they're just still bands I listen to today.
Oddly enough, Matt Skiba, and it's on. So he released it on his he released a demo album just of his demos, and then eventually it turned into a Matt Skiba and the Secret song. He wrote a song about House of Leaves. Like
Oh, really?
that incorporates it's not like necessarily about it, but he has lyrics that are pulled like that are around that book, because he even talked about it. He said, I was reading this book, House of Leaves, and he got like different ideas and themes that he incorporated into
Yeah,
a song
that's
they
because
wrote.
that book is filled with yeah, it's a great book, and it makes me want to go listen to that song, and maybe listen to this band more. Like I said, I let it keep going after the album was over. Even it's not like I got into it enough where I forgot to stop it at the end of the album.
Yeah, it's good.
Um,
I
which
love it.
yeah, which is what you want. I know that didn't happen for you when you listen to mine, but that's okay.
Maybe it did.
But two different worlds of music coming out at the same time. Um,
Yeah, you want to talk about yours?
but yeah, it's. I mean, it's the more like all I can really say is like I'll go back and listen to this again, and probably more. It's when I want to listen to something that's more fast paced and maybe gets your blood going a little bit, maybe gets
Mm-hmm.
you wanting to get amped up a little bit or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how else to say it. Tell me I'm right so I don't feel wrong.
you're right. You're correct. So you picked and forgive me if I say this
Neva
wrong.
Dinova's
Okay.
the Hate Yourself Change.
Neva Dinova, The Hate Yourself Change from 2005. It is 11 songs, 39 minutes and 58 or 39 minutes and 38 seconds. Go. Explain.
So this album is, I believe it's their second album. It might be their first one the second album that came out on Saddle Creek. Their first album was a joint with Bright Eyes, which has some amazing Neva Dinova songs on it. But this album came around our group of friends back when I was a senior in high school, maybe just out of high school, and it was on a mixed CD with this album and some other songs by Neva Dinova, and I just remember like when we got this mix album, I didn't know what it was, I didn't know who it was, but to me this album is like it cuts so deep into your like Jake Bella's voice is it plucks at your soul strings, like it's to me and he does this thing with the way that he sings, where it's like he and makes music where it's like he lets things ring out for full measures longer than you expect them to. You expect the tension to break, but he pushes it another full measure before making the change or coming back in. So it's and it like with this album, it starts off with "Hat Over His Eyes." I might be getting the name because they spell it weird.
Isn't it called
Um,
Ah? Oh, hat over. Yeah,
No, that's the second
you're
song,
right. Hat
which is
or
one of my
eyes.
favorite songs, and that's actually a song that like if when I envision this novel that like when I'm like writing this novel, I hear that song in my head for like tonal
Mm-hmm.
reasons because it's the tone of it is so perfect. But yeah, it's Hat Over His Eyes or Hat Over Eyes or whatever. But it comes in with like real tin canny almost like vocals that sound like from an older time um and then it gets into which is like it's a little bit darker like it's a little bit darker song, but all of his songs have a dark tendency or a sad tendency, but they all have hope to them as well. It's like this hopefulness through pain, and that's like something that kind of transcends throughout all of his music, and that's why I like it so much, I think. And the way that he writes lyrics is very unique, especially when you get back into songs like Poison and Tripped and things like that off of his first album with Bright Eyes. Um, and it's, you know, it's folky. It's got a little bit of rock, blues, and folk infused in it, and it's I don't know. It makes me so happy to listen to it, even though it shouldn't. I don't feel like most people that I've introduced it to, they're like, no, it doesn't do that. Why are you listening to this or whatever? But that's you know, like if I go song by song, you know, is definitely one of my favorites. It's hard for me to pick a favorite off of this album or even any of his albums because they are all perfectly written in my mind. But once you go, you know, Yellow Dotson is like this upbeat kind of beat song, but it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely about things that are not so upbeat. But it's about looking at them with an upbeat attitude, kind of. And then it goes into the Champion, which is a very slowed down song. I don't know. It's weird for me to go through it song by song because the whole album. To me, it's like I never listened to just one song off this album. When I start it, I finish it.
Yeah.
Uh, but there are some great songs that Can't Wait to See You is an amazing song. On Off is a great song. Just to go and listen to. I mean, I'm more interested in how you felt about it because it is so far outside of your realm of what you listen to. I feel like
Not
I don't feel like you
necessarily.
listen to music like this.
I do. I do listen to music like this. I think you'd be surprised. I listen to a lot of Anthony Green. That's probably a guy that you probably wouldn't expect to listen to. He's got a unique voice, and we'll get to one of his albums one of these days. But so I put on this album. I had to listen to it in chunks because I just didn't have. I never had like a spare like 40 minutes to dedicate to listening to it in one go. So I kind of listened to it in chunks. Of course, I started from the beginning. And the thing I like about it, and the thing that makes this opening track stick out, is like you said, it's tin canny, it's stripped down, it's just a dude with an acoustic guitar singing a song, and I really like that. I like that bare bones approach because really, I would say majority of songs start that way. Like it just starts with a person strumming chords or plucking strings, singing this song, right? Establishing it. So I appreciate it for that. I get to the singing, and I was like, yeah. It wasn't. I was like, okay, this is all right. Not my favorite. Um, I this is not the opening song is probably one of my least favorite songs on this record. Um, just I like the approach. I like the way it was. It should be where it's at. But I just didn't. I don't know. It goes into which is different. And I was like, okay, this is a little more produced, a little less tin canny, but not like overproduced. You know what I mean? And I thought it was an all right song. Yellow Dotson was probably my favorite, along with the Champion. Um, I got some Jack Johnson vibes out of this stuff. Like it got like it slowed up, and then like you said, it has like that upbeat feel to it. And I was just like thinking of Jack Johnson for whatever reason. Not that their songs are the same, the meaning of the lyrics are the same, but like just the vibe I got. You know what I mean? So I will say like the album I picked. I feel I don't think any of these songs are like super similar. I think it flows well together, and I also think that but I also think like each one of them is enough to almost make it stand out on its own. There's qualities in each song that are different and make it feel like, okay, I'm fine. I'm not listening to the same thing for 40 minutes. I do like the changes a little bit that he had. I think it was She Can't Change or Can't Wait to See You. Had a really good like melodic feel to it that I really liked. So there's stuff about the record that I liked. I think on and off.
Can't Wait to See You starts off with that like really cool, um, like it layers the guitars over and over like and keeps building and building until it just dead stops, and the drums keep going, and then the vocals come in, which I thought was an amazing way to open a song. And but can't change. That might be, man, every so hard for me because uh, uh, She Can't Change has like at the end when it gets into If It's Too Hard, Be Honest, that part, it really like rips at my chest every time I hear it. And I got to hear him do it live when I saw him recently. And but then like you get into Blackest Heart, which there's a crescendo in that song that's just so perfectly done with the lyrics and with the drummer, and like everything builds to this point. And it like so many of these songs hit me still the same way they hit me the first time that I listened to them. It doesn't go away, and that goes one of my like. It's tough to unseat Built to Spill for me in terms of my favorite band. But he's definitely in contention. He's definitely in contention.
You said he used to be in Bright Eyes.
No, he did. Well, he did. He did work on a couple songs on Casadega, however you pronounce it.
Yeah.
But he did a collaboration album where it's like every other song was Bright Eyes and every other song was
that's cool.
Was Neva Dinova.
Oh,
and that's One Jug of Wine, Two Vessels. Or
interesting.
Yeah,
and
like
a split record.
Great songs on there. Like that was the first album I think I bought of Neva Dinova, and I bought it for Neva Dinova. I did like Bright Eyes back then. I probably knew Bright Eyes more back then. But it was pretty quick when Neva Dinova eclipsed them in terms of I realized I like the way that this guy writes more. I like the feel of his music. I like the fact that it's so emotionally charged. Like there's so much feeling to how he's singing, how he's playing guitar, how he's pausing. Everything about every song has to do with making you feel something, whether it's something not being there or something being there layered, something being there loud or soft. It's just very well done, and it's I don't know. It's hard for me to talk this album up more than or up to the amount that I actually think about it. Like it's so high in my mind. Like and that goes for his album after this too, which is You May Already Be Dreaming, which is I almost picked that one, but that's a little bit more produced, and I do listen to that one. But this is the album I go back to more and more, and more than the other albums, I guess.
I like Bright Eyes. I wouldn't say they're anything like Alkaline Trio or stuff that I listen to. I enjoy Bright Eyes. I saw Bright Eyes.
I just never hear you talk. I only hear you talk about punk music.
I saw Bright Eyes with your dad and your brother. I drove them.
That's very surprising.
Yeah.
Well, that's there. Now there. You drove them. I see. All right.
I went. I also wanted to see Bright Eyes. They're good. They were a good show. I like Casadega. That's an amazing album. I like all theirs. I listen to their stuff. I like Bright Eyes a lot. I would, I'll try to throw you in a loop for the next one. Because I don't like you pinpointing me down to just one genre man, Rob. I'm a little more sophisticated than that.
When you that's the only dimension. Maybe this is a hidden side of you that you it's like something that You hide it behind the beard. You hide
I
it.
just
It's behind the veil.
I just do love punk rock a lot though too, and it's good. I listen to a guy called Chuck Ragan, and he's in a punk band, but then his solo stuff is super good, and it's like country, and I love it. So take that.
Well, yeah, there can be good country. It's just as hard. It's not as it's hard to find. It's a rare gem amongst a lot of coal or whatever you want to
You're
call it.
right,
it's
but
but
I'm just
um,
saying, don't
yeah,
hang me down.
it's but also I sorry, I have the volume turned down on my end, so it doesn't feedback. So if you're talking, I can't always hear you.
That's why this
But
thing called
I met
headphones were invented.
that I know, but my freaking that's why you this thing called planned obsolescence happens, and my computer won't let me freaking use my Bluetooth headphones. All of a sudden, after I first started, I finally got Bluetooth headphones. Used them 3 times, and now the little icon on my computer doesn't exist anymore. The thing that I have to click to turn on the Bluetooth for my headphones no longer there. And that's them. They're saying, "Oh, he's using Bluetooth headphones now. It's time for let's get rid of that." So he has to get a new computer because he's been using this thing for too long. Now they're right about that. And you need a new computer. I'm not trying to, but for other reasons,
Yeah,
Drew, not because of the Bluetooth thing.
yeah,
It really bothers me. I
yeah,
don't get mad about a lot, but this really cuts my chops.
yeah. It really bothers you. I could tell. But no. Don't pin me down. Don't pin me down to a one genre man.
All right, I'm sorry, but that's just the genre that you show me. I do want to say I did meet Jake Bellows, the singer and writer for this band now twice. Really amazing dude, really down to earth. His shows are really really great, and they just did their first tour in like 15 years or something with Cursive,
I
which I
like
went and saw,
cursive.
and it's
I've seen
I left for Cursive. I stayed for 4 songs of Cursive and I left.
Why?
Domestica's not my favorite album,
Oh,
and
that's what they played.
uh, Mike was in town, and we had a lot of stuff to do, so it was like we wanted to get back, and he came out to see Neva Dinova. Neva Dinova. I found out that it's Neva Dinova. I've been wrong for 20 years
Yeah, shame on you.
on how to pronounce it.
I
Yep, called out by Jake Bellows himself. No, not really, but no, it was, but either way, his shows are so fun. I went and saw him and his fiance at the TG, and like he's very interactive with the crowd. He's funny. He's just a really down to earth, cool dude, and I hope that they tour more. I hope there's more coming. They wrote a new song for the tour, so hopefully there's another album coming at some point.
Yeah, I saw that they have a single out for 2023. I didn't listen to it, but I mean, it was fine. Am I gonna go back and listen to this when I need that paced music? Probably not. But I'd go see them live.
Well, at least one of us grew a little bit from this experience. Me,
Yeah,
I grew a little bit.
you're right.
I will go back and listen to Alkaline Trio.
Yeah, because they're good.
Uh, um, but some of us are closed-minded.
No.
Pardon my French. A-holes.
I could have. I kept an open mind. I kept an open mind, and
You just wagged your finger at me. You literally wagged your finger at me as you said that.
I
You're an old man teacher who's literally. I kept an open mind, my boy.
I enjoyed some of the songs. I didn't enjoy all of them. I didn't have the same experience, but that's the beauty of music. That's the beauty of these episodes.
And I also heard this back when I was 18 or whatever, and going through whatever I was going. I listened to this album so much differently now than I did back then. And once again, like I know I talked about this this will be every Tunes and Brews that I'm on if it's an older album, which next time I will pick something that I've recently delved into, so that I don't have to say this again, but it's like from my teenage self while I was just using like smoking weed and acid and stuff like that to listening to it while I was addicted to drugs, harder drugs, opiates and such, to listening to it through my rehabilitation to now listening to it as a sober individual, I hear different things in it all the time. All the time, it's helping me. It's the same thing as the Built to Spill albums as they came out through the years. This album did the same thing. It's like for a while, it kept me feeling like, oh, it's a good thing to be in this state of mind, this using state of mind. I used it as almost a justification. But then as I went into rehab, like I used it as a beacon of hope, of that things can change and there's something better. There is a hopefulness in what he's saying. And now I look at it as a way to look back and look forward still. It's a timeless album in my mind, to me. And I know that you're not, you have different experiences, but I'm just saying, like Alkaline Trio, you heard it at the right time in your life, that it created something for you moving forward, that you would continue to go back to that well, whether it was Alkaline Trio or other bands like them. That's what Jake Bellows did for me back then.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I found a genre that I've identified with. And what's crazy is there's a guy that I met from where is he? Garden Grove, who needed to meet me because a mutual friend of ours mentioned Neva Dinova to him, and he was like, "How do you know who this band is?" And she's like, "Oh, my buddy Rob is like really into this band." And he was like, "Oh, I need to meet this guy because nobody knows who this band is." And so I went to Garden Grove and hung out with him at his recording studio. And really cool guy. I've hung out with him a couple times since, or at least once since. And it's like we bonded over the fact that it's like this is a band that not a lot of people know about. And but the people who know, like, if you like them and they like them, like you're already friends. You're already able to have a conversation. And that's a lot of bands, but this band especially was one that was cool to meet somebody that way. I enjoy that. That there's like a connection that way.
I mean, another one of my friends does like Alkaline Trio, and I've seen Alkaline Trio with my friend Cody as well. But I didn't know he listened to them until I was in high school, and I've known him since first grade. So I mean, it was that was cool too. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. Alkaline Trio is I think a little bigger than Neva Dinova, but still great people.
Just a little bit. Just a little.
Yeah. But still great bands, great stuff. I already know the next album.
Somebody brought up that we should make a Spotify list for our Tunes with Brews and release it.
The Backstreet Boys
was that something that we can do? Do you know how to do that?
Yeah.
Did you do a Backstreet Boys album?
Yeah, the first one. I did it by myself. I did an Anti-Flag record, and then I did a Backstreet Boy record.
Hey, back when I was in middle school, the Backstreet Boys were where it was at.
I'd see them.
I would go.
see the Backstreet Boys.
That's a long night. I mean, come on. You'd go see them?
Yeah, I would. Why not?
All right. Well,
I mean, we know the songs, most of them.
I mean, they're not in sync.
Some would argue they're better.
Some would argue that. Some would, yeah. Some would argue they're exactly the same.
True. Yeah, very much so. But I do know the next record.
But no, either way, it's like it's a good way to get the music that we're talking about to the people that if they want to listen to it.
It's a very good idea. I can definitely do that.
So I'm going to leave that with you, and you can do all the work as you always do.
Thank you. Yeah, I can definitely.
No, I can actually do that because I'm gonna switch from YouTube Music to Spotify.
Yeah, I use Spotify all the time, but I do know the next record I want to talk about. And I don't know. You'll probably say it's fucking the same genre or whatever, but it's a band that I got into in the last. I heard them, I listened to them, and I like them. But this one album that they released a while ago already, now just with the world of the Pandy, I've lost time. Maybe like 5 years ago. It's really good. It's really good.
Let's do it because you were talking about how you'd like to get back into the mindset of being able to find a new band and do a deep dive into them. There's a band. It's not a band, but it's an artist that I found when I came out here, and I literally like listened like for probably 6 months every day. I listened to something new by this artist, and they really affected me in a positive way. And maybe we can do something like that. We'll pick newer albums for the next
Mm-hmm.
one, as opposed to stuff from back when we were in school and that affected our entire lives. Something that's affecting us now.
Yeah.
And I'm getting introduced to so much new music now. It's crazy, but I have a hard time having an open mind to, it's hard to treat learning about new bands like you did when you were 16.
Yeah.
It's like I don't have a lot of time left on this planet to, it's like I can't be going through that stuff. I got what I like,
There's a band.
Drew.
There is a band that I'm seeing in June that I've like probably in the last like 2 years, maybe year or two, that I didn't. That they're a younger band. They're young dudes, which is weird because now I'm this old fuck who likes bands with younger people in it. But it's a band called Heart Attack Man, and they kind of like rejuvenated my my love for like kind of like that old school kind of hardcore sound, but still have like some modern stuff with it. They're really good actually. I'm seeing them in June. The couple days before you swing through. So I'm really excited about that. But they have a new album called Freak of Nature. That's not the one I'm gonna do, but that's like the most recent band that's kind of like I've been able to.
Sparked your curiosity or whatever.
Yeah, and which is I'm excited to see them. It's gonna be a
Yeah.
good show. But yeah, the next one I'm gonna do is by a band called Pup, and they have an album called Morbid Stuff, and it's fucking.
I feel like I've heard of that band.
So good. Yeah, they're awesome. They're really, really good. I heard the first song I ever heard from them was Reservoir, from one of their earlier albums. But then but Morbid Stuff is just, it's like one of those perfect albums. It's so good. I love it very much.
See, it's good to know that now, because now I can kind of listen to it a few times, and if I like it, I don't need to take notes or anything to have have an actual discussion about it, because I can listen to it over time.
Yeah, and
Uh, um,
I was in a bad headspace when that album came out, and it really I guess helped me in some
did it translate into when you got into a better mindset?
it was like right before that.
Because
Yeah.
but I just mean, like, those are some of my favorite albums where it's like that come out and you feel like they're a perfect album for what you're going through at the moment, and then you heal, and then you listen to the album in a different way, and it's just as good, because these
It's still
people
really
are
good.
artists. And
Yeah.
yeah, see, that's interesting to me. That's
Yeah. But that's for next time.
Yeah, we'll save that for 6 months from now.
Right. No, we can probably do it next month. These episodes
We need to do a strange brew is what we got to do.
we just did one.
No, we didn't.
The dream one.
That was a strange brew.
Wouldn't you say?
I mean, I guess so, yeah. But I thought you did the regular. Oh yeah, I wasn't there for the intro.
Yeah.
Did you? Oh, okay, well, my bad. I'm not connecting two and two.
I didn't play. I
The
didn't play
dots of
this.
whatever.
I did not play the Strange Brew intro, but I labeled it as one.
Then it's not a strange brew.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, if it's labeled, then we're in a gray area now.
I didn't want to play like me doing my Gollum impression for that for something as close where I'm really close to the subject matter, because it was more serious than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, but I still disagree with your choice.
You know, that voice on there is just me. Like I didn't put. There's no filter or anything. That's just me doing my Gollum impression. It's pretty good.
I know. That's why I want to hear it more and more. I'm jealous. I'm jealous of everybody that can do impressions.
Would that be good, like pillow talk? You think?
Yeah.
Like I would be like, "Give me the precious, baby." You know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah. If she heard that from down by her feet.
Jesus Christ, give them a whole show, don't you, Carissa? Christ. Put those things away.
Did I just get on an OnlyFans page? Is that what just
I
happened?
think you stumbled on that. Yeah. Most people pay a fine fee to see those things. Anyways, I drank Brewery Vivant Hopfield, their farmhouse IPA. Gosh darn it, was this tasty. I'm sad that I only have one. And now it's gone. And maybe I'll have it again if I ever see it. But there's a good chance I won't. And if you can have it,
Well,
you should have it. Drink that shit, dog. How was yours?
I had the moon magic, and it must have been some kind of magic because after the first couple of drinks that I honestly didn't really like the back end flavor. I didn't like it was just a little bit is that danky musty. It was a little too much for me, but I have been drinking more beers that way over time. It's really good actually. I haven't drank all of it, but that's because I'm savoring it. It's actually like a good beer to just drink and taste.
Good.
But it wasn't that way on the first drink. That's weird. I don't understand it. It's moon magic. It must be.
It's kind of like the album Crimson. You know, you had to savor it, go back to it a little bit, enjoy it some more to really get the full appreciation out of it. You know, and that's what makes it great.
Yeah, that's what makes all this great. It's kind of like this show. Yeah. Don't go back. Actually, just
there's some really good
listen
ones.
to it at 1.5 speed.
No, the what the fuck was that horror movie one that we did? Slash Tag. We got that one's funny.
#slash tag.
That's probably one. That's peak, and that was like 100 episodes ago. So
I don't know. I like the Black Friday episode we did 3 years ago.
I don't remember.
Everything since then has been a downward. We're on the Titanic, and it's going down slow.
I don't remember that one. What did we?
I don't remember most of it, but I remember parts of it. But no, we've had some good episodes. We have.
The Christmas ones are always good.
I just hope that those are the ones that people start with.
The Christmas ones are always great.
Except for I don't know how to read off of a sheet of paper in my own voice. And I have a real issue with that.
Well, the last one was improv. You did great.
That's because you did most of the work.
Hey.
If it's a Drew heavy episode, it's gonna be good. I know that.
You're like my Trey Parker to Matt Stone.
Yeah, sure. I'll take that. I'll take that all day.
All right, man. Well, thank you. We'll talk soon.
This has been Tunes with Brews. I don't know who to root for in the Boston-Miami game. I'm conflicted.
Me too.
So let's just put me on the right side of history, and I'm gonna not say anything about it.
Pew! Audio. Goodbye, everyone.